Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for today's video. My name is David. This channel is Tomorrow's Coaching, and this video is about victim blaming. Most of you watch my videos have gone through have had some type of experience with somebody hurting you repeatedly on purpose, which is abuse. And the most common feelings coming away from this types of relationships when they're over and when we're in them is shame and guilt. We're confused. We have self-doubt. When someone is blaming you for everything that they do, everything you do, when they're criticizing you, when you feel bad long enough, when you have a failed relationship, an abusive relationship, when you lose someone, all these things can cause shame and guilt. We don't need to make it worse for people. Unfortunately, there are people out there that aren't compassionate enough and empathetic enough to take the time to understand and listen to someone's experience and try to figure out why it was so hard for them and why it hurt so much. Instead, we want quick solutions and we judge people. I think we're all guilty of this. I know that I was when I was younger. I didn't understand it very much. I didn't understand like women being physically abused by men and why they stayed. I didn't understand it, so I judged. But we all are trying to be better people. And since all of you have experienced this abuse, then try to understand other people when they say they have too. In all forms. One of the least understood forms of abuse, I think, is smear campaigns. There's almost zero support. People don't seem to care. Even victims of this stuff don't really say much or do much about people that are being smeared unless it happens to them. And that's kind of what we say, isn't it? They don't seem to really care or understand unless it happens to them. But in this circle of us victims, we tend to not understand people going through smear campaigns. So I want to make it really, really clear. We are only responsible for what we have done and what we do. If we've hurt someone, it's our fault. If someone's hurt us, it's their fault. And this fault lies with every single person who has ever hurt you, and every single time they have hurt you. It's their fault. And we have to remind ourselves of this and be there for others. Okay? We can't judge them and blame them and fault them. So I have, I believe, eight examples of people doing this. And some of the reasons tend to overlap, but I'm going to go through these. What I think is the biggest example, the biggest example of victim blaming. They're accusing you of not defending yourself. Why didn't you defend yourself? And I can use bullying as a really good example for all of these. Bullying's abuse, right? Smear campaigns is abuse. Many wives are bullied by their husbands. Husbands bullied by their wives. Girlfriends, boyfriends, friends, siblings, bullied. Very common amongst narcissistic people, they bully. Why didn't you defend yourself? Why do you just allow someone to walk all over you? Why don't you stand up for yourself? I get that. And we want people to defend themselves and not allow people to hurt them. And we want people to not let it continue, especially people we care about, right? But it's still not their fault. It doesn't matter how many times. We cannot fault victims, okay? I use smear campaigns, public smear campaigns. I'm a great example. Many of you know that I've been experiencing this smear campaigns from someone very, very toxic. And I get toxic people saying, why don't you defend yourself? Oh, he's never defended himself. Yeah. So you obviously don't understand anybody who thinks that. because there's a sick nobody who's obsessed with me, who's been bullying me, trying to get other people to do it, and they've successfully done so. Hundreds of videos, 7 years. I'm supposed to defend myself? For what? For who? For one person, sick person, attacking and obsessed, making up false claims, false accusations, false people, false emails. How do I defend that? Why would I? Who cares? Who cares what some nobody says about their opinion? You want me to defend myself because it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, but it's somebody's life. And you don't blame me if I don't defend myself. Do not dare. The biggest victim blaming example, number 2, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave sooner? I would have just left. I would have said blah, blah, blah. Real easy to play armchair quarterback in toxic relationships against somebody who's psychologically abusing you and torturing you for years and you didn't know it. Yeah. This is a big one, right? That myself. This is the one I would say. Why didn't she leave? Why did she let him beat her all the time? Instead of understanding victim's situation, using compassion and empathy and listening, we're quick to judge again. Why didn't you leave? Well, why didn't you find out? Right? Why don't you ask? There are reasons. The victim may not know exactly, may not be able to explain themselves very much. They're traumatized. Biggest victim blaming example, number 3. They deserve it. If they're just going to sit there and take it for so long, they deserve it. If they don't care, why should anybody else? Here's a parent or somebody like authoritarian. Well, if you're going to keep friends like that, then what? I deserve this? It's my fault? So if I have a friend that does something to me that is a bad friend, so it's my fault. I had a bad friend. No, it's still their fault for everything they do. Yeah. Smear campaigns, right? They have false accusations. They tell everybody a bunch of lies. And then those people say, oh, well then I deserve people to attack me and make videos about me. False lies, accusations. Yeah, I deserve it because they said I'm a bad person. That works, huh? Nope. No. Nope, abuse is wrong. Smear campaigns are wrong. It's not about whether saying is right or wrong. It's wrong to do so, right? Abuse is wrong. Or maybe the person has a history of bad choices, bad decisions, right? They deserve it. Maybe they have hurt someone before. The bully victim cycle. Bullies have been victims and they go bully other victims, and then that bully may get victimized by another bully, and we say, oh, they deserve it, right? If you hurt someone else and someone hurts you, you deserve it. No, still not. That's why it's not okay for me to seek revenge against people that hurt me. That does not make it okay. It's either wrong or it's right. If you do it, you think it's right. And then you deserve anything that happens to you. No, you don't. It's wrong. Biggest victim blaming example, number 4. They should change. Let's use the bullying example. Your kid's being bullied. A boy, a 10, 12-year-old boy is being bullied at school. What is the biggest reaction? Come on, kid. Come on. We're just going to show you how to box and take them all on and stand up for yourself and be strong. It's not their fault. Go talk to the bully. That's what I'd do as a dad. Yeah, I'd teach my son how to protect himself for sure. He'd be pretty good at it, I bet. But he's not left on his own. It's not his fault if he doesn't. No. There's reasons bullies attack victims. These victims have low self-esteem. They're being bullied at home, stuff like this, neglected. There's things we can say to help you be not such a target, right? Resilience, assertiveness, perseverance, things like this will help you not be such a victim maybe. But it's not your fault. Jeez. And to think that we make kids feel like that. All they have is mom and dad come home. Mom and dad says, it's your fault. Yeah. You don't defend yourself. Oh, you should change. You should do this. Try that. Biggest example of victim bullying, number 5. They caused it. And we can use this example before. They've bullied others. They've hurt people before. They made that person mad. What did you do to make them mad? Who cares? Is it okay to act like that? No. Can't I speak my mind? I have freedom of speech, at least in the United States. We kind of still do. Can't I say something to somebody? Or if it hurts their feelings, they can attack me? No. No. If what they said was wrong, okay, that's wrong. You attacking them, that's wrong. Reactionary abuse isn't okay. It's still abuse. It's just called reactionary abuse to help you understand, but it's abuse. Biggest example of victim blaming, number 6. They should have known better. I mean, come on, man. Everybody knows that guy cheats. Everybody knows that she's a thief. Everybody knows this. And you know, I mean, come on. The signs are there. Why didn't you know better? I mean, they hurt you before. Why'd you let them hurt you again? You should have known better. Everyone knows he's a bad person. No. It's still not the victim's fault. Biggest example of victim blaming, number 7, is you're too sensitive. How many of you have heard that? Because when they ridiculed you and criticized you and talked bad about you behind your back, you got sad. You got mad. You're just too sensitive. I know someone else who wouldn't care. I'm not that someone else. I'm sure there's things I can tell you that will hurt your feelings or make you angry that may not hurt someone else. Does that make it okay? No. No, it's still my fault. Still my fault. Too sensitive. What an awful thing to say to somebody who's been hurt by someone else. No, you're just too sensitive. It shouldn't hurt you. You shouldn't be upset. You shouldn't be angry about that. And the last one, the biggest example of victim blaming, number 8. It's not true. Happens to me. I had some psycho contact my family and ask someone who abused me, "Did you ever abuse David?" "Nope, you didn't." "Oh, David's lying." Nice, huh? Could you imagine that? What? Just the most awful thing you can do to a victim of something is just deny it. No, like you were there. Awful. Walking away from these relationships that could have been years, your whole childhood, decades, believing everything's your fault, feeling ashamed. No, never happened. That's about the worst thing you could do to a victim that's already been victimized. Just deny it. It happens to me quite often. I've told my story. A lot of you guys have asked for my story. So I told my story and I left the bad parts out. And I still had people telling me, "Oh, it wasn't true, David. That's not true. It didn't happen." Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, pretty bad. Those are 8 examples of victim blaming. If there's any I missed, any you guys have experienced, could you please share down below? I'd really appreciate that, and so would other people. If you guys thought this video was informative or helped you in some way, I'd appreciate it with a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Anybody who wants coaching, you can find me at daviddemars.com. Links down below. Again, I love all your guys' examples. Let me know what you think of this video. Give me some feedback. And love yourself first. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.